Hello once again then folks, and welcome to day 2 already of the Special Projects Car Pack number 2 builds. Kicking off today with the Diablo GT1 replica. This is more specifically a very particular GT1, which is not as well known. Of course, a player from the community created it though, so it's nice to know that I wasn't the only one who spotted it online. And as far as the build, it's a relatively simple one in terms of what you actually need to fit, and I think it's actually a pretty nice looking car as well. Now, as far as the actual build parts, we'll get to the visuals in a second, because spoiler alert, you will need a wide body for this one in order to fit with the design that the community member did. You will want the full weight reduction that you can get, so for most of us that goes up to, stage 3 or so. It has sports hards as standard, but of course we're going to change that. For the club sports section, I do have the power restrictor, but I'm not using it. Stage 2 weight, of course. Ballast is fitted as well. As far as the crank, we have that. We have a semi-racing silencer technically, but I've actually gone with the racing one, you'll see in a second. We've got the fully customised diff, of course. Stage 3 weight. You could go for the increased rigidity if you wanted to. It is a race car after all. I haven't, but there's nothing against doing that. As far as the racing parts, as I said, we do have the silencer, racing pads, racing discs, of course, clutch and flywheel, fully customised suspension, fully customised transmission as well, racing hard tyres, of course, because it is a race replica, and as far as the extreme stuff, there is nothing fitted there. So visually, as I already said, this is a creation from a different player, so I don't really need to go into the GT Auto section. As I said though, you do want to fit the wide body though, to get this visual kit, but it'll tell you that. If you download their design from the description right below, then of course that will tell you that if you haven't already fitted it. Now, as far as the tuning, of course, as you can see, we're well over 700 points, so it's not necessarily a cash cow or anything like that, but it's a similar kind of level to some of the Group 3 kind of machines, which, if you think about it, is kind of appropriate to what one of these more road-based GT1 cars should have been like. So we've got racing hard tyres, fully customised suspension with the downforce, no, with the ride height even, set pretty low, 70mm, 7 on anti-roll, 38 for the compression with 44 on expansion, 3.3 for the frequency, 3 degrees of camber, 20 toe in on the rear, 10 toe out on the front for stability. As far as the diff, we've got 10, 35 and 45. Nos, of course, was not fitted. As far as the fully customised transmission, I've opted for a top speed of 320 kilometers an hour or so, which is, what's that, about 200-ish miles an hour, so not too crazy. The power restrictor is untouched, as is the ECU. There is no ballast fitted There's no ballast fitted on this particular car, even though I like to have the option. That's why I like to fit it. As far as the downforce, that is full, front and rear. Then as far as the parts, we have the racing silencer, the discs, of course, the pads, the weight loss, etc., with our clutch and flywheel fitted, and the racing crank, as you can see. So like I said, it's not really a crazy tune. It's pretty easy to do. Power is just over 600. The weight is, in the 1150 region. Some people do sometimes say, oh, I've got like a stage 4 or stage 5 on a spin. What should I do now? Well, if you've got that, absolutely go for it. It's just that with most of these builds, I like to work with what all of us can buy. There are some exceptions, but most of the time I like to just go with what we can buy, because then more people can actually do it instead of waiting for like a random spin, So if we now jump out to the track, you'll be able to see what this beast can do in action. And in terms of what it can do, again, it's a Diablo, of course, so it's not going to be the most forgiving thing in the world. I didn't want it to be, but it is a heck of a lot quicker than standard, that's for sure. And being a car that is slightly more obscure than something like, the Nomad Diablo that we used to have in Gran Turismo, it gives you the advantage of the car being just immediately more interesting, because people don't know as much about it, it's more obscure online, and if you look up this model online, you will find some images of it with this exact livery. So yeah, it's more of just like a little bit of an alternative or oddball build. Of course, it's not technically a race car, so you can still use it in road car events, which is a nice bonus compared to an actual race car. So in other words, if this real thing were in the game, it would ironically be less useful than this one is, which is kind of cool. So overall, if you do decide to use the build, of course I hope you have a ton of fun with it. If you haven't checked out the 2 that I did yesterday, then of course do so as well. There's another build coming out later on today, and of course in the subsequent days this week. As I said, jump over to the link in the description below to add it to your collection from the community page in Gran Turismo 7, and as with all of the other videos, this of course goes into my ongoing 2023 challenge of if any video hits 10,000 likes, somebody's winning £100 from the comments. So if you do want to have a chance at winning that, then of course give it a like, it's as simple as that. But until next time, I'll see you with another tune, and for now, as always, thanks for watching.